Some of you may know the name Annette King. You'll perhaps know Annette as the CEO of Publicis Group UK, and recently she became chair of the Ad Association. What you might not know is that Annette has been a fierce advocate and ally for our community throughout her career. Thank you, Annette. We'll talk about that in a moment. And just as some examples, before Annette worked at Publicis, she worked at Ogilvy, and it was at Ogilvy that she was part of the team that launched Ogilvy Pride back in 2014, along with Andrew Barrett. I don't know whether Andrew's here from Ogilvy PR. And under Annette's guidance, Ogilvy became the first UK communications agency to become a global Stonewall diversity champion. And it was also Stonewall's first global agency partner and integrated Stonewall's offering into a number of Ogilvy's client accounts. Annette has continued her advocacy for employee network groups during her tenure at Publicis, for example with Egalite, who we heard from earlier, as well as 5 other employee networks across different inclusion areas. And Publicis Group UK became a Stonewall Global Diversity Champion in 2021. There's a pattern here. Wherever Annette goes, you have to become a Stonewall Global Diversity Champion. And she continues to focus on the LGBTQ plus community at Publicis so that we can thrive. Please join me in welcoming Annette to the stage.
Hello everyone, I'm Annette, she, her. Very nice to be here. Thank you very much for having me.
Hi, it's really nice to meet you.
You too. I like your outfit.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again.
Is it itchy?
Actually, it's lined.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not too bad. It's very hot. So might take my jacket off in a bit. So I think an amazing kind of history of allyship there. So why don't we open with this question here around why being an LGBTQ plus ally is important to you?
Well, it's important to me as a human being who has I have people in my life, in my personal life, in my family, my friends, who I want to be an ally to. But actually, it's if not more important that I use my position as the CEO of Publicis Group UK to be an ally. There are 6,000 employees in our company in this country across 25 different companies, different agencies, and I'm the CEO of that. And so it's my responsibility, I have the opportunity and the responsibility to personally be an ally across that business, but to also try to create an environment and a working culture that makes it very clear that, you know, it would be great if we could all be allies, and that provides ways for people to learn and understand how to do that.
Do you know what? I said this earlier, that I wonder if we sometimes create a very, very alive atmosphere. When the room is full of queer people, it can be a bit intimidating to be one of our straight allies. I mean, what do you think for you being an ally is then? What's it all about?
So I think it's about standing up for what's right as much as you can. It's about listening and learning from people who've had lived experiences that I haven't had. It's about being, I've learned the word fragility in this context. It's about not being fragile and being comfortable with hearing stuff that you perhaps don't want to hear or that you find upsetting to hear, but making yourself comfortable with hearing it and understanding it and trying to do something about it, which then leads on to the thing which perhaps I can do more with my capacity as the CEO, which is actually take action and try to do something about it. Publicis Group has a very helpful mantra that has been in place for many years, which is Vive la différence, which means celebrate difference. So it is very helpful to have that as the overall kind of overall agency kind of rallying cry, because it gives some credibility to, you know, when you say that you want to celebrate difference and that you want there to be actions taken to try to address the issues.
I love Vive la Difference.
You can have it.
It's great.
We've just put stuff up in our Chancery Lane office all across the windows, so it literally screams it from the windows.
It's brilliant. I mean, yeah, I know that I'd be very happy to rock up somewhere that has Viva la Difference as the.
And let's not underestimate what, as a gay man, if I walked in the office every morning and I saw that on the door of my office, it's like, I belong here.
Yeah.
And don't underestimate how powerful that is. I promise you. I mean, it is very powerful. So thank you for doing that.
So, what do you think the value of staff networks? I've been taught this today that we are not allowed to call them ERGs.
They've been officially renamed forever. For the rest.
Yeah, so what do you think the value of staff networks for organisations, specifically publicists?
I'm going to be a little bit contentious in a minute and give them a different name, but I'll come back to that.
Great.
I think that they are invaluable. And as you said, we've got 5 of them at Publicis Group. 2 of them have been around for quite some time. Egalite, I think you all heard from Claire on stage earlier. Been around for a long time, but I hope that people that work for Publicis Group would agree that we've done more with it over the last 4 or 5 years. We've invested time and effort and money into it. And then we've got Viva Women, which has also been around, which is about gender equality for a long time. Again, we've invested more in it. And then the other 3 are, one is Embrace, which is for race equality, which we set up probably 2.5, 3 years ago, which has been invaluable over the recent years in terms of helping us understand, helping us learn, helping us know what actions we can take. We have another one called Enable, which is for disabled people, which is probably the smallest of the 3, but no less of the 5, sorry, but no less important. And then last week we set one up called Divergent Minds, which is for the neurodiverse population, which is 1 in 10 of us. So we keep going, and if there's more that we need to do, then we'll do more. But back to Egalite, I know Claire will have told you all sorts of things that they've done this year and in previous years, but they work very hard to make sure that everybody in the company understands what's going on out there, what events we can support, what communities we can get involved in. They've done all sorts of things with Trans Pride, London Trans Pride, and they worked with Embrace to support UK Black Pride. So they're out there helping us to be involved in more than just the maybe the more obvious things, and they keep us, they keep our knowledge levels up around LGBTQ plus history, stuff that's going on, and they keep us kind of connected.
And we really must not underestimate their power, which is what I was chatting about in the break. I think, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Publicis was the first in our community to have a transitioning policy.
I think so. I'd have to ask my...
Somebody can contradict me if you like, at your peril.
We've definitely got one. I don't know if we were the first or not, but yeah. And if others copy, then that's
incredibly
great, right?
powerful.
Yeah.
We had a panel earlier that was talking about driving inclusion, and we saw it from lots of points of view. But I'd now like to ask the point of view of an agency head. Who do you think is responsible for driving inclusion? You can imagine across here, is it the client? Is it the agency? Where do you think the buck ends?
Well, it has to be all of us. I mean, that's a pretty glib answer, but it really does have to be all of us. But I think from an agency perspective, it's about helping our people to embrace inclusion and help drive it. But also we do have an influence on our clients. We can't tell clients what to do, but we can give them very strong advice and informed help around what to do. So I think at the end of the day, the buck stops with every individual. But as an agency leader, I think the buck, it stops with me at the end of the day. But as it does for everything, and that's okay. Yeah. But it's my responsibility to help other people own that need to be inclusive.
And do you find it tough sometimes when you're balancing what are clearly commercial responsibilities, client egos, and all that kind of stuff to continue to drive the inclusion agenda? I think it's getting easier because the agenda is getting more well known, and I'm more informed, and my people are more informed. We've learned, we keep learning, we keep listening. There's loads more to learn. But I think, as somebody said on the panel just that, most people want to make things better. Most people want to help. The small group of awful people who don't, we can overpower them if we do this together.
So, what do you think brands' roles are in tackling hate, as we just heard about in that previous panel?
I mean, we have a huge responsibility to do what we can. The reach and impact of what we do as advertising, the advertising industry is enormous. You were talking about media just then, but there's also the creative side of things, the actual messaging and the comms that we put out there and where we put them. So I think that, you know, we have to take on that responsibility and do as much as we can. And again, we can't tell clients what to do, but they do pay us to give them advice and to give them wise counsel. So as long as we know enough about what we're talking about and we're well enough informed, then I think we can take on some of that responsibility. And also I think the thing is, you know, if our clients can just get their heads around the fact that actually consumers who see brands being inclusive are more likely to like that brand in general, right, in terms of the overall scale. So I'd hope that they would do it for the right reasons, but even if they do it because it makes them more popular, then, you know, that's an easy message to give to a client.
You've reminded me, when I'm on one of my soap boxes, I say that we're privileged to do the jobs that we do, and that we have the power of creativity at our fingertips. And what we have many Slack networks. If you're not part of our Slack networks, dive in. They'll be up on the screen later. And one of the most popular Slack networks is the one that shares the work. And it's always up for discussion because, you know, it's difficult to please all of the people all of the time. But from your standpoint as an agency head, are there brands that you think are getting inclusion right?
I think.
And by all means, draw on some of the work from your own.
Yeah,
group.
are we going to play the work?
We'll show some. We might have rehearsed this. Where would you like to start? Go on.
I mean, yeah, are we going to play the work or shall I talk about it a bit first? I'll talk about it a bit first.
Go on, yeah, go on.
So I'm going to show you 3 pieces of work. So I think many brands are getting it wrong, right? Many brands are not doing anything. Some brands are doing tokenist stuff. Some turn up for Pride and then disappear for the rest of the year. There's lots that needs to be done. And we will do all we can, but there is still a lot to be done. What we've got here are just 3 examples of work. 2 are from my company, and 1 is from another. I forced myself not to bring 3 of my pieces of work. And they're just, you know, they're just really good examples, I think, of brands who are getting it right. And they're 3 ads. So we need more than 3 ads, or more than 1 ad per brand to make the real difference. But they're all brave pieces of work. And so I think they're worthy of being shared with you this afternoon. And the first one, shall I talk about the first one and then we'll show it and I'll talk about the second? So the first one is for Renault Clio, the car brand. As I look around the room, I'm not sure that many of you, apart from Mark, are old enough to remember
the Clio.
famous Clio ads of the 1990s, which went on and on and on. They went on for a long time. It was a wonderful platform, and it was about a relationship between a father and his daughter, so Papa Nicole. And these ads went for years and years and years. And
they were
super
classic.
successful.
Yeah.
So what this agency, it's Publicis Polk, what they did with this Clio ad from a couple of years ago is they wanted to kind of go back to that kind of looking at a relationship through the car, but to make it contemporary and to address one angle of LGBTQ+.
Come on, Pocket.
'Today is gonna be the day that they're gonna throw it back to you. By now, you should have somehow realized what you gotta do. I don't believe that anybody feels the way I do about you now. Backbeat, the word is on the street that the fire in your heart is out. I'm sure you've heard it all before, but you never really had a doubt. I don't believe that anybody feels the way I do about you now. Today was gonna be the day, but they'll never throw it back to you. Said maybe you're gonna be the one that saves me. And after all, you're my wonderwall.
So,
Seeing some actual tears in the house.
at the tech run-through this morning, Nancy Kelly, CEO of Stonewall, was here, and she quite spontaneously said, "Oh, I remember that ad, and I remember sitting at home with everybody and going, oh my God, they see me."
Oh, that's lovely.
And I think, you know, we forget how powerful our work can be. And I just want to say that, and I don't know what the backstory to this campaign is, but so I've worked on automotive advertising all my life, which I thought was ironic, a gay man working in automotive advertising. Anyway, what do I know about cars? I learned. Is that for a massive milestone in this brand's history, they chose to celebrate our community. So amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't the easiest
Sell.
selling, but the client was, you know, informed and brave and went with it.
Yeah.
Right.
And when we've got work like that out there, which is, you know, fantastic on so many levels.
Yeah.
You and I debate that ad a lot, don't we?
Yeah, so Mark and I do a session, if you're interested, in a short history of queer advertising.
That's what it's called.
And this is one of the ads that we discuss. And as a bi woman, I do raise the question about whether one of the characters is indeed lesbian or maybe she's bi, which I think I've heard some creatives associated with it completely shut down. Which is fine. But the question does remain for me. And so I think that it's an interesting thing to feel all at once included. And we can sit here and talk about bi-erasure, or at least I could, for a fair amount of time. But equally have a question about whether you are being included. So I think it's like it's a piece of work that will sit with me forever because it is so resonant, so amazing, so emotive. But I think as we learn and as we move, there is also a question around how we can shine inclusion of all the corners of the LGBTQ plus community in what we do. So that's amusing, not amusing, amusing from me.
You wanted to show another couple of ads, didn't you?
Yes, so the next one is by Saatchi & Saatchi, and it's for EE. We've worked together over the last couple of years to launch the Hope United campaign, or platform really, which has been a great success. And we started with race equality in football, did a lot of work there, and then we moved on to sexist hate for the Women's Euros. And in women's football, this is something I learned, in women's football, sexist hate turns into homophobic hate very quickly. And so what we did, we put together a mixed gender squad of famous people, famous players that you'll see, and they made a stand. And you'll see Demi Stokes in the film with her wife. She had the baby. They'd had the baby 10 days before, literally. So it's a really important platform. So that's what we're doing now, and we've got other things in the hopper for what we can do with this platform to, Hope United, which is, to stamp out hate of all kinds in football, and of which there's many different flavours.
This could be a problem.
be a problem.
Could be a problem for Lauren James. As their squad grows even stronger, the competition for places heats up.
That's definitely a problem. Could be a problem.
Women be problems every day. But sexist hate, it's not her problem. It's ours.
See you later. See you later.
Love it.
It's really powerful work, and as you can see, it really is a platform that we can do a lot more with. It's not just one ad that that has its moment.
Look forward to seeing the next exciting instalment of that.
Something on the table right now that I think
Oh,
you might see
okay.
very soon. Yes,
Okay.
we shall see.
Exciting.
We need the client to be brave.
Yeah, okay.
And then the third and last one is a Starbucks ad, which I'm sure many of you have seen. It was done in partnership with the trans charity Mermaid, and it won the Channel 4 Diversity Award, quite rightly. And it really is this simple thing around when you go to Starbucks, they write your name on the cup, and then at the end, when they give you the drink, they shout your name out. And that little thing, and how big a thing that can be to certain people. And I should give credit to Iris, the agency, because it was their work, and it's just great.
Gemma Miller? Gemma Miller, please come to room 4.
Hello?
Hello, am I talking to Gemma?
Hey, Dad.
Hey! Carol, you remember my Gemma?
Gemma.
And what's your name?
It's James.
James?
Yeah, it gets me.
Now, I was on the judging panel that particular
were you?
year, yeah, and we actually, I don't know whether you know what goes on behind the scenes at the Channel 4 competition, but it's not easy to win that competition, you know. So we have the CMOs or the CEOs of the brands presenting and their agency partners, and we kind of go, yeah, but you've got loads of money. You don't need any money from Channel 4. You know, we had, I won't name the brands that went to pitch, and so it's a very worthy winner. But I also don't know whether you know that there was supposed to be a much bigger campaign. They talked about using Starbucks premises as safe spaces. You remember we had this thing called COVID that kind of stopped it all, but it was supposed to be a much, much bigger campaign. And that's what I love when we're not just queer for Christmas, as we've been saying, we're queer all the time. And what was clever about that particular campaign was the longevity that they had kind of baked into it at the time. And as you said, it comes from a beautifully true insight that Starbucks is a safe place where your name is your name.
Yep.
Beautiful.
Lovely work. I wish we'd done it.
Yeah. Well, moving on from that amazing work that I'm sure we all kind of resonate with and love, let's talk about people getting it wrong. There are people getting it wrong. Do you have any thoughts? Do you have any?
Yeah, it's not really my place to sit here and
No,
talk about
of course
specific
not, but
ones who are getting it wrong. But I think
how to do it right? I don't know.
lots of brands are getting it wrong, and like I said, either not doing anything or doing tokenistic stuff or doing something for pride and then nothing. I mean, it's better that they do something for pride than nothing, but it's still, they're not getting it. And I think the important thing is, it's kind of, like I said earlier, consumers generally will respond better to brands who are inclusive. And so it's a business risk if these brands don't get their heads around what they need to do. And the flip side of that is that it's a business opportunity if they do get their heads around what they need to do. So that's very much how we talk to our clients about it. Not you want them to do it because it's the right thing to do, but if to get them to take the first step, you talk to them about the opportunity for their brand and therefore their business. If that gets them started, then great, right? I mean, and then once they start to learn, then hopefully they will do it because it's the right thing to do.
I mentioned in the intro that you're chair of the Ad Association. Congratulations. I have to say I did a little cheer when I heard that you'd taken over, having somebody like you leading us. And the Ad Association is doing what it can. We, I don't know whether you know, but we collaborate with them. We kind of lead their LGBTQ plus kind of working group. But you tell us, as our leader of the Ad Association, in terms of, there's a lot of research came out of the All-In survey that I hope you all did at the time. It's going to come round again, so make sure you fill it in for All-In number 2. Tell us what the Ad Association is doing.
Yeah, so I would just reiterate, please do fill it in, because it doesn't take long, but we'll be as the actions that we'll be able to take will be as good as the data that we've got from the people that can give us it. So please do. The biggest thing, actually, Kate Williams, our head of D&I, who's here, wonderful Kate, explained to me that the biggest thing that they want us to do is a little big thing. So the biggest thing that the survey is telling us we should do we should collectively do as a next step is use our pronouns. And the reason that's a little big thing is because it's a little. I just did it on the stage. I've done it on my. It's a little thing for everybody to do, but if we all do it, then it becomes a much bigger thing.
It's a big thing.
And also, what Kate explained to me, and again, this is I'm learning every day about how I can be better at this. Is that me saying she, her is fine. It's me introducing myself, but what it's also doing is inviting other people to tell me what their pronouns are, and that's actually the important. That's the important piece.
Yeah.
That's why me saying it is helpful. I've been asked to say that, just to make clear, that it's voluntary. We're not telling everyone they have to use their pronouns, so no one has to.
No.
But it's a little big thing, so why wouldn't everybody start to do it? And that really is that's what's coming out of Census 1.
Yeah, just to add a little bit to that. So we've done a fair amount of work around this as well, and the voluntary piece is really important.
Yeah.
Obviously, because some people maybe are in the process of transitioning, or they
can be triggering. And
yeah, can be triggering, or and so you're right. We fully support and encourage everyone to use their pronouns if they're comfortable, and it is that little big thing, like you say.
Yeah.
And if you do want to go further, go to the Outvertising website, and we've written what we think are pretty robust measures that any employer should be doing to be very queer inclusive. They're at outvertising.org. But yeah, the pronouns thing, there's an Ad Association kind of webinar tomorrow, if you look up, which is all about helping you. If your organisation hasn't quite yet encouraged everybody to adopt pronoun usage in the workplace, there's a webinar that your colleagues are organising tomorrow that you can join. I think it's first thing tomorrow morning, about 9 o'clock.
Great. Well, I think we have one more question. Is that right?
Yep.
For you. So something that we noticed a lot in pandemic times, it really came to the forefront for a lot of our community. We know that mental health issues are a concern for everyone across the industry. But rates are higher with those that identify as LGBTQ+. What's your response to that?
Well, I mean, the whole, mental health, many people suffer with mental health. But you're right, the census data tells us that for the LGBTQ+ community, 28% of people reported that they either had or had mental health conditions. And that was against a baseline average of 12%. So that's more than double. It's 233% more than the baseline. And that's just not okay, clearly. But once you've got, the first step is to get the data to understand the size of the problem. It's clearly a very, very large problem. And we need to tackle it. I don't know exactly how we do that, but we do need to tackle it. I know that, I just saw the last panel and the rise in hate crime around for trans people as well. It's just all, we have to come up with ways of dealing with it. I don't have the answers, unfortunately, but knowing where you're starting from, I think is a good place to be.
Yeah.
But those numbers are just unacceptable.
Yeah, agreed.
We have overrun, I'm sorry, but Annette, I'm not apologising for it. It's been fascinating listening to you. And again, it's such a privilege to have one of our agency leaders on the stage because it's been a great day in terms of we've had one of our community leaders on the stage and an agency leader to end the day. So thank you.
My pleasure.
Lisa, thank you to Annette for joining us
Thanks so much.
today.
Great.